Hello, and welcome to another VersaPass Best Practices webinar. This presentation will provide details on the necessary information to collect when contacting technical support. The topics we will cover during this presentation include basic troubleshooting, writing a good issue description, collecting additional information, memjet component serial number identification, contacting your printer support team. Now, let's get started. If your printer is not performing as well as expected, there are a few steps to take before contacting technical support. We'll cover all of them in more detail throughout the webinar. Initially, you should follow the printer's documentation that includes troubleshooting steps. Take note of the steps you take and the results of each. If the issue is print quality related, having good print samples before and after each step is particularly useful. Additionally, memjet has several best practices webinars related to print quality, which provide valuable insights on how to get the best performance from your printer. If you still have an issue after following these steps, there are a couple more steps you should take before contacting your printer support team. First is writing a good description of the issue. Second is collecting all the information relevant to the specific issue at hand, like photos of sample prints and diagnostic plots. Only after performing all these steps should you contact your technical support team. So, let's go back to the initial step and review in detail some troubleshooting basics that apply to almost every situation, beyond your printer's documented troubleshooting steps. First, ask the question, what changed? It was working, now it's not. Did something recently change? Was a new printhead installed? A microfiber roller replaced? A different type of media loaded? Ink tank replaced? Was the new guy working the day the problem started occurring? Often, a problem is related to something that recently changed. Sometimes the change can be very subtle, like a particularly dry day with low humidity. Next is the concept of 5 whys, which is basically the notion of following the chain of cause and effect in reverse. This is sometimes referred to as peeling the onion. You see the outside, otherwise the symptom or effect of an underlying cause. The challenge is peel back the layers to get to the root cause of the issue so it can be fixed. For example, you may see some streaks in your output. You ask yourself, why did that happen? One possible answer is, the printhead nozzles were not firing properly. Again, you ask yourself, okay, why did that happen? One possible explanation is that the microfiber roller is worn and wasn't replaced the last time a printhead was replaced. You inspect the microfiber roller and see that indeed, that may be the case. Once again, why did that happen? Or in this case, it may be more appropriate to ask, why didn't that happen? It could be that the operator was not trained to replace the microfiber roller when replacing a printhead. Usually, there's more than one possible answer to the question of, why did that happen? Part of troubleshooting is to capture those possibilities and explore them all, typically in order of probability, beginning with what's most likely and until you find the correct root cause. Next is the idea of repeated failures. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. This part of troubleshooting is trying to identify the common elements of failure cases. For example, when the issue occurs, it's typically the first few pages of the first print job of the day, but clears up after the printer is used. Following 5 whys thinking, you think, perhaps the printhead is drying out overnight. You inspect the printhead cap and find out it is dirty and perhaps not making a good seal with the printhead. Another troubleshooting concept is comparing the happy day scenario to the scenario where the issue appears. This means to compare normal, good output to the output showing the issues. You may notice, for example, that the good output is one type of media and the output showing issues is with a different type of media. You check the job log and find that the wrong color profile has been selected. Using all of your senses during troubleshooting is another key step. Being familiar with the normal sights and sounds of your printer can help identify when things are amiss. For example, An unusual sound or a strange smell may provide a clue, or you may see something during the printer startup that doesn't appear quite like you remember. Finally, if you have another unit available, it's often very useful to try swapping parts one at a time to see if the problem follows a part or stays with the original printer. As mentioned earlier, supplement your printer's troubleshooting documentation with the webinars from Memjet. These webinars are designed to provide tips and tricks to optimize your print quality and printing performance. Some include descriptions of common issues, including print quality concerns or error messages, and they provide guidance on what to do about them. If you've exhausted the troubleshooting steps in your printer's documentation, and you've tried the tips and tricks described in the Memjet webinars, you've likely reached the point where you'll want to contact your printer support team. Before reaching out to them, you'll need to prepare a good issue description and collect all other pertinent information so that the support team can quickly and accurately get to the root cause of the issue so the appropriate remedy can be provided. A good issue description is critical and should describe the issue you're experiencing in detail. In addition to what the issue is, include who detected it. When did the issue start? Was it related to a change? How often is the issue occurring? All the time or intermittent? Does there seem to be certain conditions where it happens and other conditions where it doesn't? Where is the issue occurring? If it's a print quality issue, are the objectionable artifacts always occurring in the same spot on the page? The description should not just include details of the problem itself, but also list the troubleshooting steps taken and the results. It can refer to the additional info you collect, and especially in the case of print quality issues, refer to images of the printed output and diagnostic pages. Think about a detective trying to solve a mystery. Providing details and as many clues as possible will reduce the time to solve the case and improve the chances of a proper diagnosis. In this example, the print looks bad becomes, the operator noticed some faint streaks on every page, approximately 40 millimeters from the right side of the page. See attached PDFs. There were no changes prior to noticing the streaks. After printing a diagnostic page, see attached, we could see that it is the magenta channel. We tried light and deep printhead recovery to no avail. We replaced the microfiber roller and attempted the recovery steps again. The problem wasn't as severe, but it remained. The printhead has been installed for at least 3 months and has printed 27,403 pages. You can see how this type of issue description would be much more helpful to the technical support representative. Next, we'll talk about the other information you'll want to gather. In addition to the issue description, you'll want to gather some other information, including printer manufacturer, printer model number, printer serial number, installation date, printer location, company, city, detailed description, troubleshooting steps taken and results, error messages, if any, incident rate and repeatability, clear photos and scans. Many issues are concerns over print quality. Notice I said print quality and not print head. Typically, the first suspect when there is a print quality issue is the print head. And often that's the case. But there are times when the true root cause lies deeper in the system, like a dirty printhead cap or microfiber roller, or air seeping into the ink tubes, possibly due to improper printhead installation. Regardless, replacing printheads more frequently than necessary results in higher operating costs. So it's important to collect as much information as possible to help accurately troubleshoot the issue. The information required for every print quality issue includes the printhead serial number, a detailed description of the failure or print quality defect seen, some basic usage information like the printhead installation date and amount of ink used, description of the basic troubleshooting steps taken and the results, printout of the printhead information. Sometimes a one-page data collection form needs to be completed. To locate the printhead serial number, grab the handle or ribbed blade on top of the printhead. It is recommended to grip the printhead only by the handle anytime you need to hold the printhead. It's best to place the printhead in its orange protective cover when not installed in the printer. This protects it from damage and for a short time can help prevent it from drying out. The printhead serial number is located on the top center, as shown. In the next few slides, we're going to cover in more detail the additional information to collect for print quality issues. First, sample prints and diagnostic plots. They should be photographed or scanned. Be sure to include zoomed-in close-ups too. Clear photos are vital to help pinpoint the underlying root cause. If your support representative eventually determines that the printhead should be returned for failure analysis, include the printed output along with the printhead in the shipment. Media can play a key role in print quality, making it an important part of the data you need to collect for your technical support inquiry. Is it a new type of media? What type of media is it? Plain paper? Bond? Glossy? Collect the media manufacturer and product name. Different medias require different color profiles, so also specify the color profile and any special settings selected. On a Windows platform, this can be found by selecting the printer's printing preferences. Color tab, color matching. Describing the condition and providing photos of certain memjet parts can prove very useful in determining a root cause. Here you see the VersaPass maintenance module, which includes the microfiber roller and the printhead cap. Check the microfiber roller to make sure it is not dirty, crusted over, or worn. If so, replace it and see if that resolves the issue. Memjet recommends that it be replaced every time a new printhead is installed. The printhead cap serves two functions. It protects the printhead from external contamination, like paper dust when the printer is idle. It also seals the printhead nozzles and keeps the ink inside from drying up or becoming dehydrated. Inspect and clean the printhead cap if it appears dirty. If it looks worn or deformed, it may need to be replaced. Printhead nozzles, which are dehydrated, can have startup issues when it comes time to print. Sometimes the issue clears up in a page or two, but in severe cases, it can impact the whole job. Inspect and take photos of the ink tubes leading into the printhead if bubbles are seen. A few tiny air bubbles in the ink tubes leading to the printhead is not unusual. However, larger air bubbles that work their way through the printhead can lead to the types of print defects you see here. One potential reason for large air bubbles are worn or deformed cartridge revolver seals. These seals clamp around the ink ports on the printhead when the blue printhead latch is closed. When the printhead is consistently installed properly, they can still wear out as they are rated for only 30 printhead insertions. If the printhead is not installed properly, by fully rotating it into position before closing the blue printhead latch, they can become deformed and then not allow an airtight seal to be made on the printhead ink ports. To photograph these, the printhead must be removed. Leave the blue latch open to pull the fluidic couplers away from the printhead PCA. Try to aim your camera straight into the fluidic coupler. Check the image to make sure the seals are in focus. If you have one available, a small mirror placed in front of the fluidic coupler may provide for a better shot. Temperature and humidity can be important factors contributing to suboptimal print quality, especially if the printer is operated outside of the recommended ranges specified by Memjet, so be sure to provide this information. Operating at the low end of humidity, below 35% relative humidity, may require higher levels of keep wet spitting and mid-job surfacing. Operating outside the recommended range can not only impact the printhead performance, but also the media as well. Reporting an error message is obviously important, but obtaining a serial debug log can help shed light on the underlying issue. much like a flight recorder that captures critical internal events leading up to the error. The method for collecting these varies by printer model, so check your printer's documentation. Additionally, proving any strange behavior regarding the paper path can also provide clues into the root cause of the issue. Memjet parts are designed for long life and durability, but they can experience issues. For example, if ink is not making it to the printhead, it could be that the pump has malfunctioned. If ink remains in some of the ink tubes when removing a printhead, the dual pinch valve may have an issue. If the printer or printhead is behaving erratically, there could be an issue with one of the electronic circuit boards. If an error message indicates a possible part failure, it is important to capture the serial number of the suspected part or parts. These next slides provide some guidance for the location of the serial number on each port, including the peristaltic pump, dual pinch valve, cartridge locator assembly, which has 2 numbers, the maintenance module, main PCA, printhead PCA, and driver PCA. Now that a detailed issue has been written and all the relevant information has been collected, it's now time to contact your printer support team. For print quality related inquiries, attaching clear scans and photos that highlight the printed artifact is essential. The printer support team may request more information or additional troubleshooting steps be taken. Only if requested should parts be removed and sent back for failure analysis. Please refer to the Memjet webinar and/or ebook that describes the critical steps needed for a printhead return. This may all seem a bit overwhelming, but as with any detective work, the more information the investigator has to work with, typically the quicker and more accurate the failure analysis will be. We thank you for your time and attention, and would greatly appreciate your feedback on this webinar.